Hey underwater photographers, and welcome to day 10 of the Redive project. This is to remind you of a project that we've initiated at Mozaik UW Cameras in order to support the dive industry and raise awareness for the ocean. And every day underwater photographers from all over the world are actually sharing their amazing underwater photos, and every day we have a different daily subject. And just like every day, I will be sharing my own tips on how to take better photos of the daily subject. In the end, all of these tips will be published in one big blog post on Mozaik Underwater Cameras blog, where you can access them and use them on your next dive trips. So the theme for today is clownfish, finding Nemo, right? So everybody loves clownfish, and unfortunately, clownfish have become famous in 2003 when Finding Nemo came out. And this actually created a huge increase in the demand for clownfish as pets in the aquarium industry, which is awful because it caused a huge decline in their numbers all over the world. So it's pretty terrible. But yeah, at least there are quite a few clownfish left today for us photographers to shoot, and let's talk about how to get better photos of them. So first of all, if you don't know this already, this is pretty obvious. Clownfish always live inside anemones. And this means that if you're on a dive, let's say in the Red Sea or Southeast Asia, wherever clownfish are pretty popular and common, then if you're looking for something interesting to shoot, it's very, very easy to spot anemone when you're diving, and you're almost positive that inside that anemone you will find a nice clownfish to take photos of. So this makes them a really easy subject to find and practice on, and try out different lighting and things like that. And they're very easy subject to shoot. Now, clownfish actually show very aggressive behavior when you approach their anemone because they're trying to protect it. They have a symbiotic relationship with the anemone, and they are trying to protect it. So every time any predator or diver comes by, they will try to protect their anemone. And that behavior that they do, which is simply swimming towards you, swimming back, swimming towards you, swimming back to the anemone, is very easy for photography. I mean, it's not easy in the sense that they move around too much, but it always guarantees that you're going to get really nice poses out of them. If you stay with them for a while, then they will pose beautifully, and you will definitely capture some really interesting behavior and some really good, frontal shots of their faces. Another thing is that clownfish lay their eggs on a rock inside or near the anemone. You can actually find these eggs, and the cool behavior is that the female lays the eggs, and then the male actually oxygenates them all the time, and he keeps blowing fresh water on them and kind of waving them with his fins. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to shoot, a beautiful behavior to shoot, and if you pay attention, you will be able to find this and actually get a good shot of it. Just make sure you don't hurt the eggs in any way because they're pretty sensitive. Another cool thing is because clownfish move that much, you can actually choose your background. I mean, you can actually point your camera at a nice area inside the anemone that you would think would work well as a background, and instead of chasing the clownfish will come to you, because at some point they will enter the frame because they move around so much. If you point it to a nice area in the anemone, they will enter the frame, and then you can shoot them with that as the background. So that's a really nice technique that you can use on clownfish. Another tip is to actually shoot the smaller clownfish. I know sometimes you have the bigger ones, and then sometimes you have the juvenile, the really tiny ones that hide inside the anemone. And it's beautiful to shoot them because they look like kids, they have like really delicate features, and their skin looks super soft, and like they look like tiny kids or tiny babies. So they make excellent subjects. They are simply harder to shoot because they're smaller, so you have to focus much better and make sure you get them in focus, and the eyes as well. And then the last thing is, instead of shooting, a lot of people simply shoot the medium shots or close-ups of clownfish, but what you can actually do is shoot some wide-angle shots. So you put on your wide angle, your fisheye lens, whatever, and they get pretty close to the anemone. You can actually put your lens almost on the clownfish, on the anemones, and try to shoot up, try to point your camera up so that you get that nice sunball in the background. And in order to not wash out your sunball, all you need to do is use a faster shutter speed, because the sunball is basically available light. It's ambient light, so if you use a faster shutter speed, then you'll get a really nice darker blue in the background, the nice sunball, and if you light up your clownfish with your strobe, then they're going to look really pretty. So that's another cool thing to try when you're shooting clownfish. So I hope that these tips helped, and I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, upload your best clownfish photos on Instagram and tag us with the Redive Project hashtag by UW Cameras, which is Mozaik UW Cameras Instagram account. And I will see you all tomorrow with the next daily subject.